Good morning, I'm Rochelle and this is Brampton Gardener, and today is plant of the week. Today's plant of the week is 4 o'clocks. I got in a seed swap, of course, last year. They are called 4 o'clock because they open in the late afternoon, and the rest of the day they're curled up kind of like that, well, more like this. So this is before they open, and then this is after they open. They close up and they get these little bell shapes. So they open up in the late afternoon and they bloom all night long, and they are still in bloom right now, but they are starting to close up. As you can see, a lot of these ones have already started to close up. So these are probably one of the easiest plants to collect seed from. I know I've shown you in my other video, but I will just show you again. They sit in these little pods like this, and they're loose. You can see how loose that is in there. And it literally will just fall out into your hand like that. And voila. Super, super easy. And these are so prolific. They have so many seeds. You can just kind of look at each bunch you see. You're going to see several seeds in there. Here, I'll show you. This is an immature seed. So see this one here? See how green it is? It's got a little black dot on the end, but it's totally green. You leave that one, and you'd want to grab that one. Now, I am going to give you a little word of warning. Be careful when you are collecting the seeds, because sometimes, I'll have to see if I see any, sometimes earwigs like to use this little tiny net. They use this as a little tiny bed or a little nest, and they like to lay in there. And so if you just reach in to grab your seed without looking first, you may scream. Yeah. Don't ask. Oh, thank you, Cricket, for going quiet. I appreciate that. You're around here somewhere. Oh, it's going to start up again. So I got this group of seeds. One was said mixed, which I believe is what the white ones came from, and the other said let's start over. The other package said red. So these are red in like a cherry red, hot pink type of a red. So if you were going with like a true like geranium style red, then this is not that. Same with the hollyhocks. Their red is still more of a hot pink color. So this mixture is the pink and the white. So I am saving seeds from this, and they're all getting mixed in because honestly, I can't pick a favorite. I think they're all quite beautiful. So there we have the white ones, and up the hill, I'll show you in a minute, I have my yellow ones. So all of the yellow ones that I have in the garden this year came from last year. I had them growing over here, and they reseeded themselves. And so as soon as I saw the little seed things popping up, I dug them up, stuck them in a pot to decide where to put them later. I'm going to show you this plant. So remember, I'm on quite a hill here, and I did not provide these enough support because honestly they were so tiny when I planted them, and I had grown them. They were a little flatter last year where I'd grown them. I will show you the stalks on these things. Like, remember, I started these from seed this year. These stalks are absolutely massive. Ugh, excuse me. There's a leaf in the way. These stalks are absolutely massive. Like, it is so thick, and like, it's enormous. Like, it is crazy thick. And so honestly, I don't even remember how many plants I have in here. Like, unfortunately, they kind of, you can see that they destroyed my bubblegum, Vista bubblegum petunia. It was planted there, and these were all planted up the hill, and they just collapsed on it. But look at the roots, like the branching on that. Like, they are really, really massive plants. So these would be a lot taller if it wasn't folded over, because it goes about 2 feet this way and then up. So keep that in mind, that they need a bit of room to spread, and if you're on a hill, they're just going to collapse onto whatever is in front of them. So I'm so sorry. Oh, see, look at just shaking them. Drop down my, and yes, I'm using my yoga mat because otherwise the grass is still plenty damp and I would be getting wet. So a couple things to keep in mind. A couple of things to keep in mind about 4 o'clocks. One, they are toxic, so don't be eating the flowers, don't be eating the seeds, don't be eating any part of the plants, especially the roots, which do form a tuber. And so they say that it is possible to, sorry, I'm trying to stick the seeds in my pocket. They do form a tuber, and so what you can do in the fall is you can dig the tuber up and you can overwinter it like you would your cannas or your calla lilies. I tried that last year, and well, for one thing, I forgot what they were. I was like, what on earth are these? I potted them up, nothing happened. So I might try it again this year, but honestly, they're easy enough to grow from seed. But as you saw from the seed, it is very, very thick seed. So Make sure you soak it in water. Make sure you nick it a little bit to help it along, because otherwise it will take a very, very long time to germinate. Now these are also called the marble of Peru, and so they are a tropical South American plant, and so they like the heat, and they take forever to germinate. So I had pretty much had the whole garden planted out, and these things didn't come until around the beginning of June is when you start seeing them popping up. But they were way later than a lot of the other seedlings that came. When I grew them last year, I did them in the winter sowing container. And honestly, I replanted that container with like 2 other crops in it. And I was just about ready to dump it out. And all of a sudden I was like, what is that? And I looked and I saw these little, and they have a very, very distinctive leaf. It almost looks kind of like a little butterfly on each side. And I was like, oh my goodness. So they took much longer. So I don't recommend doing the winter sowing container if you were in a colder climate. They definitely did better indoors, but even then I didn't have great germination on them, and they took quite a while to germinate. So definitely make sure you nick them and soak them, but they are worth it, and they do self-seed. So if you don't want them to self-seed, then you gotta be vigilant about collecting the seeds. But if you don't mind, I find it's just as easy just to plop out the little seedlings in the springtime. So I'll go show you the yellow ones. So over here we have, I think this is 2 plants. So this is like 2 plants that I had transplanted that were coming up as seedlings, and I popped them in over there. And they are super happy and pretty this morning. Hello. And then I have a few more over here, and I also have a couple out in the front yard. So they came up nicely, they reseeded. You'll be able to see this one is actually growing kind of straight, so I can show you this one's just growing up nice and straight. And so I'm not really sure why the other ones they got so big. And you might remember this one from my video. I did a little shorts on the difference between 4 o'clocks and evening primrose. So I'll show you again really quick the evening primrose leaves. So here's a tiny little evening primrose. It might be easier to see it without the morning glory growing on it, but you can see the leaf structure is very, very different than the ones over there. But the flower is separate, but it still has a very similar look, especially when the other ones aren't open. I would also like to mention that these work really well in cut flower arrangements. They give a nice, you kind of cut them low in the base, and they have like this nice airy branching effect. They serve as really nice filler, so keep that in mind. Also though, they will still drop their seeds in a bouquet, so you might find the seeds rolling around on your table. So thank you so much for joining me today in the garden for my Plant of the Week series. Don't forget, comment below if you want to win your chance at some 4 o'clock seeds. Thanks for watching. Bye.